Cedar Key is a small collection of islands off Florida's Big Bend coast. It's about 5 kilometers square, around 700 people live there, and Hurricane Idalia put it underwater.
A tremendous amount of storm surge. Pretty much in the entire Big Bend has a huge water rise right now, and even here, where I'm at in Cedar Key, we now have the record.
The damage is bad. The downtown core was submerged. There is debris everywhere, and since the storm hit, those who ignored the mandatory evacuation were cut off from the mainland. The bridge completely washed out, impassable. The good news, it's just been reopened, but those who go back will see for themselves how the last 48 hours have scarred their islands.
Cedar Key is a place that has seen its share of storms in the past, and some of them have been pretty bad.
Cedar Key is nearly a ghost town, as many residents like Tracy Argraves say they're not taking any chances with Idalia.
Geographically, everyone knew from the start Cedar Key was vulnerable. Not only was it squarely in the projected path of Hurricane Idalia, but it also juts right into the Gulf of Mexico. It's exposed to the elements and isolated from outside help. One road in, one road out.
This is going to be a major hurricane. It's likely to continue strengthening all the way until impact, and it could have a catastrophic storm surge in your area.
On August 27th, a few days before Idalia made landfall, the mayor declared a local state of emergency. The forecast looked really bad. Cedar Key expected to see some of Florida's worst storm surge.
Let's go ahead and show you with our flood effects animation a real simulation of the forecast for 9 feet of surge, okay? All of this area goes underwater. Along Dock Street, those businesses are likely going to disappear into the Gulf of Mexico. Notice here, the townhomes underwater, fire station underwater. Back here, Jiffy Store, the liquor store, all underwater. May actually completely disappear.
Authorities issued a mandatory evacuation order, which means get out, because if you stay and you need help, you're on your own.
You can tell people across the street, a lot of businesses downtown have boarded up. They put sandbags down as they have prepared the best they can for this approaching storm.
Over at a gas station in town, people stocking up on ice, water, and gasoline.
I don't think Cedar Key, as we think of it, will exist here tomorrow.
Not everyone left Cedar Key as they were supposed to. Officials figure around 100 people stayed back to defend their homes, but Hurricane Idalia struck at night.
We've already got major storm surge here. This is on Cedar Key, right at the waterfront. You can see water starting to come over the main drag here, including some of the restaurants as well.
Reed Timmer is a pretty well-known meteorologist and storm chaser, so he knows how dangerous it is to be in a spot like that. Strong winds can turn loose objects into deadly weapons, and even small amounts of water can wash out roads, pushing cars into buildings or leaving you stranded where you didn't mean to be.
This is just the beginning. This whole area is going to be under about 10 to 15 feet of water, maybe even up to 16 feet. And it does look like Hurricane Idalia continues to intensify.
We know now Idalia did intensify, hitting Category 4 status, where you had winds blowing in excess of 200 kilometers an hour. What's terrifying about storm surge is the appearance that the actual sea level has risen up to swallow the very ground you're standing on.
Record storm surge here in Cedar Key, Florida, 6.9 feet. It's starting to come down a little bit now, but the damage is done. Look up First Street and Dog here. This is where you pretty much have one way in and one way out of this island.
Locals say the entire downtown core was put underwater. Docks, piers, knocked out of place. Livelihoods drowned.
This video shows debris from a hotel that collapsed as the storm battered the coast with heavy rain and winds up to 55 miles per hour.
This is over in Cedar Key. It's kind of hard to see what we're looking at, but you see the bottom, that's the water there, and this is the inside of a bar.
It doesn't look good. All of our commercial buildings downtown are underwater. A huge percentage of our homes have been inundated with water. You can see I'm standing in the middle of State Road 24 right now. and it's completely underwater.
Those roads washing out was exactly what authorities were afraid would happen. Cedar Key Fire Rescue posted this on Facebook. We have multiple trees down, debris in the roads, do not come. Not that anyone would have been able to. The only bridge in and out was a no-go.
And so you said at this point the bridges are impassable, so people are not going to be able to leave or get in or get out. Do you have enough supplies to ride out that process until the island is accessible again?
I think so. I don't have any reason to believe that the bridges are out, just that they're underwater.
All that water would make things difficult for crews working to restore power. Circuits would short out right as they turned them back on. The fire department even warned people about exploding propane tanks. It was all too much. And even those who were planning to ride out the storm decided they had to leave. Fortunately, the storm had weakened to the point where crews on the mainland could come rescue them by boat.
Why are the boats necessary? They need to work through several feet of snake-infested water.
We've seen businesses flood. We've seen homes flood. We've seen structures obviously washed out here and bobbing around in the water.
As of Thursday, people are being allowed back in. The water has receded, the bridge in and out of town, drivable once again.
The Cedar Key Bridge has officially been cleared by FDOT, and residents, first responders, and law enforcement can now pass.
And power is mostly back online too, but it will be a while until everything else gets restored. Water, sewage, and the rebuild.
The whole town is covered in mud, and all my things are covered in mud. And so many things got wet. It's just a mess here.
You know, most people lost the bottom half of their homes. Much of Cedar Key is now virtually unlivable. So coming back to that means people will have to brace for two things: heartache and a hell of a lot of work ahead.